everyone, welcome to the channel. Don't mock my clapping. My name's Nick. I'm a PGY3 neuro resident. My hair's all over the place. So anyway, this is my wife, Blair. She is a 4th year med student. Just introducing her to the channel. Blair just matched, and tell them where you met.
I matched psychiatry.
Neurology, psychiatry, different, but similar.
Yeah, tons of things to talk about.
All right, we wanted to talk today about supporting your spouse, significant other, even like family, friends while in medical school and in residency training. So I think first we should talk about medical school, how I felt supported in medical school, how Blair felt supported, and given our situation, what that looked like, but also for other people in different situations. Our situation, when I was in med school, I was in another state, so I was in Florida, Blair was in Texas.
I was in my undergrad while he was in med school.
Yeah, so how did I feel supported? So I think the most important point on this and the best way I felt supported is communication. So we would do things like FaceTime every night. We would talk on the phone a lot. I think communication is key, especially in those like preclinical years of med school. Having someone to talk to instead of feeling so isolated. I think that was key for me. Just like being able to talk to you and having family to talk to on the phone, and just so I wouldn't go isolated in the books as much. And
yeah, I mean, I think even when I was a pre-med, while you were in med school, so we would study together over FaceTime, and even if we weren't physically together, we were still doing something together, and you know, sort of maintaining our relationship in that way when we both didn't really have a lot of time to just, talk all day. We were still doing something productive, but doing it together, even if we weren't physically in the same place. I think that was really important to maintaining our relationship.
So what's some way that you would feel supported in med school?
Well, I had the luxury of having a husband who had gone through everything. Yeah. So Nick has really been like my guide and laid out the roadmap for me, and I'm very
I wish I had a roadmap.
Yeah, I feel really lucky in that way. So I remember before my first OSCE, I'm freaking out because I don't know how to do a simulated patient interaction, and like the night before he's being my patient and whatnot, and even before my clinical rotations, I was nervous. And I think just being able to see him, have gone through everything, I kind of knew what to expect a little bit more.
That's if you have a spouse in med school.
Yeah, so that's how I felt supported. But even if you weren't in training, you quizzing me in the car, even if it was like on random things that you didn't remember, like farm stuff and genetic stuff, or like I think anyone could be a simulated patient. And I also think too, just like you would pull me out of sort of, sometimes I would self-isolate a lot. Like I felt a lot of pressure to study all the time, and I had a really hard time going away from that. And so I think Nick did a good job at kind of pulling me out of that. I mean, we live close to his family, and so having the support of his family was really important for me, especially because I started medical school in the beginning of the pandemic. So a lot of my classmates, we were all on Zoom. I didn't really get to know them as well. So having that sort of community and social support was really important to me, and having those people that check in on you and see how you're doing.
Some people like meet a ton of other med student friends, and they become really close, and they have that social support. But other people, it might be more difficult for that to happen, whether it be you have to study so much that you don't have that. So having a spouse, significant other, family, friends that can be that support system for you, even if they are far away, I think is crucial. Studying together while in medical school. So if you're both in medical training, being able to study together is one good way of supporting each other. But if you're not, and one of your spouse, significant other, family, friends, they're like doing work, you can always sit next to them or do it virtually over Zoom, and just have someone that you're doing tasks with, I think makes you feel less isolated and more supported. We talked about med school, so now I think we can transition to residency. So how did I feel supported in residency? I think in residency, from having Blair have an understanding of like what residency is like. I mean, I know she doesn't fully understand.
I will never, our situations are unique, so I will never fully understand exactly what your residency is like, and then when I go through it,
I won't understand.
It's not going to be the same.
It's not the same, but I think when you're in medical training, you kind of get the gist of it. So having someone that knows, like, okay, I just had like a 12-hour night shift, I had all these consults, I was stressed out, I had a tough attending that I'm calling on the phone, and like being able to talk to them about that. I think that's the best way to feel supported, just being able to be open about my experience and what I'm going through, and have someone understands. I think even if you're not in medicine, you can have somewhat of an understanding of what I mean.
I feel like it's almost sometimes better, to feel and look for support in people outside of your residency, because you do need to vent sometimes. And I know
True.
sometimes you need to vent, but sometimes it's more appropriate to vent to people that are not involved in the program, because then it doesn't create sort of like a negative atmosphere. But I think, having, at least from what I've seen, it's been important for you to have me to sort of vent it and talk through some situations that are going on, in your residency in general, whether it be a tough patient encounter or whatnot, just so that it doesn't affect sort of the people around you, because residency is stressful for everyone. I mean, I think just over the years of like constantly checking in with each other about what each rotation is going to look like, just in terms of like house-load tasks or the amount of quality time we're spending together, like it ebbs and flows, and it's a balance that's not necessarily, stable all at one point. It kind of teeter-totters depending on the rotation, but I think we make it work. Having
someone to kind of bring you out of it, so whether it be while you're in med school or you're in residency, having someone to say, hey, like, we should go out, we should do something, we should take a break. I think that's another key way to be supported, is having someone that brings you out of yourself and brings you out of the hospital mindset, and you can do some fun things with, whether that be family, friends, spouse, whatever. Now that we're both going to be in residency at the same time, we'll see. Maybe we'll do another video later about that. All right, thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I am at my wife. Leave in the comments any questions, comments, anything that you do to support a spouse, significant other while in residency or med school training. What are some tips you have for us, so we can not only learn from this video, hopefully, but hopefully you can teach us some things. Bye.